Special guests here tonight. If you would stand when I call your name, Councilman Bill Kling. Bill, good to see you here tonight. Councilman Richard Showers, good to have you here tonight. Huntsville City School Superintendent Dr. Casey Wardynski, it's good to see you tonight. And Madison County School Board member Mary Louise Stowe. Also like to recognize and introduce the Hall of Fame board members. They've done such a great job here tonight putting this event on, and a lot of hard work has gone into it. Sherry Ammons. Sherry, please stand. Sonny Batchelor. Sonny, good to see you here tonight. Great job. Frank Campbell. Frank, thank you so much. Gordon Day. Buster Dalworth. Jerry Dugan. Haas Johnson. Jack Kelly. Good job, Jack. Al Langford. Wade Lipscomb. Greg Patterson. John Pruitt. John, good to see you. Lewis Vaughn. Adam Williamson. Keith Wilson. And Pat Wynn. Thank you once again for all that you do for these athletes, for our community. We do appreciate it very much. We are now ready for the induction ceremony to start. Will Richard Gaddis please stand, and I direct your attention to the screens and Tom Kinnemer's remarks on both sides of the stage.
In recent years, the University of Alabama Huntsville has emerged as a perennial college basketball power at the NCAA Division II level under the expert coaching of hometown product Lenny Acup. What shouldn't be forgotten is that UAH basketball once enjoyed similar success at the smaller NAIA level under the late K.O. Willis, who was hired to elevate the school's program from club to varsity status 40 years ago. Willis, who came to Huntsville in 1973 from Murray State in Kentucky, won 205 games in 11 seasons at UAH, along with 5 conference championships and 5 district championships. His 1980-81 team won 30 games before losing by a single point in the NAIA National Championship game in Kansas City. How did we do it? We did it by recruiting a lot of outstanding basketball players, Willis liked to say. One such player was Richard Gaddis, a guard from Huntsville's Lee High School and a key member of Willis's first recruiting class. Gaddis started as a freshman, averaging 10 points per game, and continued to be one of the team's top scorers and assist leaders throughout his college career. Richard was a great player in the clutch, one of the best I ever coached, said Willis. Former Lee coach Jerry Dugan felt the same way. That guy could play the game, said Dugan. Gaddis was a 3-year letterman and a second-team All-City player as a junior, when he averaged nearly 15 points while nailing many key shots, including a game winner against Austin, the eventual state 4A champion. He averaged 14 points and was a unanimous first-team All-City selection as a senior. He also broke Condridge Holloway's school assist record by dishing out 13 one night against Grissom. One of 3 sons of Graydon and Francis Gaddis, Richard began playing basketball in the 4th grade at New Sharon School. I'd have to say the person who influenced me most was my brother, Marshall Red Gaddis, said Richard. When I was really young, he'd take me to his fast-pitch softball games, and then on Sundays, he'd make me catch while he practiced his pitching. When it wasn't softball, we'd play whatever sport might be in season. When I began playing school ball, he and his wife and daughter would go to every game they could. Even if we were playing in Montgomery and he had to be up at 3 a.m. to go to work, he was there for my game. Knowing he was there and knowing how much he wanted to be there always made me push myself to be my best. Richard Gaddis is now employed by Madison County as the chief appraiser responsible for the appraisal of property for tax purposes. Since retiring from Industrial League basketball in his mid-30s, he has enjoyed training and showing quarter horses throughout the Southeast. He and his wife Paula have one daughter, Angela Nix. Richard Gaddis.
Richard, please come to the center stage and be inducted. Thank you, Richard. Our next inductee, Michael Winslow Hill.
Grissom High School has been known as a hotbed of track and field athletes almost from the day it was first opened in 1969. One of its foremost runners in those defining early days was Michael Hill. Mike helped carry on a standard of excellence at our school, said former Grissom track coach Adam Williamson. He was right up there with guys like Steve Bolt, David McCannon, David Lowe, and Frank Rouse. Competing first for Coach John Meals and later for Williamson, Hill and his teammates formed a tight-knit group that still holds several school, city, and state records 4 decades later. As a sophomore in 1973, Hill ran a 4-minute and 28-second mile and 9-minute 20-second in the 2-mile, the third fastest time in the nation for a 10th grader. He won several cross-country meets as a junior and finished second to McCannon in the state indoor 2-mile despite tearing a hamstring on the last lap, an injury that sidelined him until the middle of his senior year. He returned in time to finish third in the state outdoor 2-mile. Following a 4-year career at Grissom from 1971 to 75, Hill went on to the University of Alabama from 75 to 79, where he became an all-SEC distance runner in track and cross-country for Coach John Mitchell while studying pre-medicine and majoring in chemistry. His favorite track memories in high school include being a sophomore member, along with Lowe, of the 1973 state champion cross-country team. The same year, a pair of senior teammates set record times, Bolt in the mile and McCannon in the 2-mile. Later at Alabama, Hill set personal best times of 3 minutes and 46 seconds in the 1,500 meters, the equivalent of a 4-minute and 4-second mile, and 8 minutes and 51 seconds in the 2-mile. I always appreciated Coach Mitchell at Alabama, Hill said, because he was very understanding and allowed me to change my school as I needed to achieve balance between meeting pre-med obligations and devoting what I could to track performance. He was one of the first to congratulate me on getting into medical school in the first round. Hill continued running for 4 more years while enrolled at the University of South Alabama School of Medicine from 1980 to 1983. In 1986, he became board certified in internal medicine from the Medical School of Georgia in Augusta. And in 1996, he acquired his board certification in diagnostic radiology from the University of Tennessee. He now operates a private practice in internal medicine and diagnostic radiology in Knoxville. Hill and his wife Donna, who is also a doctor, have 4 children, David, Jennifer, Jana, and Jessica, and 3 grandchildren. Mike Hill.
Michael, please come to the center stage and be inducted. Thank you, Michael. Our next inductee, Charles T. Hillis. Please stand.
Charles Hillis, Charlie to all his friends and acquaintances, has been a familiar fixture on the Huntsville sports scene for most of his 77 years. Born here in Madison County, Hillis played most of the traditional sports as a kid growing up. Roy Childress at Tennessee Valley State, now Calhoun Community College, and B.J. Allison, the director of the YMCA, let me play basketball, and Sonny Westbrook, who managed the Huntsville Parkers semi-pro team, gave me an opportunity to play baseball at a very young age, said Hillis. Then, at the age of 16, I was fortunate to have the guidance of J.D. Carroll to start my softball career. Hillis is best remembered today for his long association with fast-pitch softball. He began playing the sport after Carroll, one of Huntsville's leading attorneys and sportsmen, recruited him from the old YMCA basketball gym located behind what is now Jackson Way Baptist Church on Andrew Jackson. At first, I played mostly shortstop and sometimes third base, Hillis said. I think I went 3 years without making an error. Later, I started pitching because they kept you around longer if you could also pitch. Hillis started school at Newmarket, moved to Lincoln Village when he was 15, attended night school for a year and a half before the Korean War, and finished at Huntsville High School in 1954. After serving as a medic in the Army in 1957 and 58 and playing service baseball in Germany, he returned to his softball roots following his discharge. He played fast pitch in Huntsville and throughout the northern tier of Alabama in the heyday of the sport, a period that stretched more than 20 years from the 1950s until the 1970s. Hillis suited up with the Huntsville Merchants and a variety of other teams while competing alongside such renowned local players as Jim Bishop, Jim and Clyde Hobbs, Ed Baker, and Skip Cloys. One of his favorite memories is playing against the Clearwater, Florida Bombers in the Southeast Regional in 1966. At the time, Clearwater had won 13 ASAA national championships. They beat us twice, he said, 2-1 and 1-0, with Jim Johnson pitching for us. They're the best team I ever played against. They were as close to professionals as you could get. Hillis continued to play competitive softball for more than 40 years. I guess my big claim to fame, he said, was going 10 for 20 against Eddie Feiner back when we played occasionally against the King and his court. Hillis, the owner of Scoreboard Sales and Service in Huntsville, worked for the city school system from October 1959 until December 1988, servicing electrical and plumbing at Goldsmith Shipman for 20 years and Milton Frank Stadium for 18 years. He and his wife, Juanita, have a son, Philip, who lives in Birmingham, a daughter, Melinda, who lives in New Albany, Indiana, and 4 grandchildren. Charlie Hillis.
Charles, please come to the center stage and be inducted. Charles, thank you so much. Our next inductee, Mark Hutchinson. Please stand.
Mark Hutchinson grew up in Huntsville and began playing football, basketball, and baseball at the age of 6 in the Continental Athletic Association. As a little leaguer at Riggs Field, he was an All-Star in 1973 and 1974. He made the All-Star team in 77 in the Northwest Huntsville Babe Ruth Association and played for the Alabama and Southeast Regional Champions, who finished runner-up in the Babe Ruth World Series. Hutchinson was named All-Tournament in the Regional and World Series tournament. By the time he reached junior high school, his focus had narrowed to baseball and basketball. He started at shortstop in baseball and at point guard in basketball in both junior high and during his years at Butler High School. At Butler, he lettered 3 years as a baseball shortstop. His junior year, Butler won the city and regional championships and finished second in the state tournament. All-city as a senior, he was also picked as the Rebels' most valuable player in baseball and was named to the East-West All-Star team. He was also a 3-year letterman in basketball at Butler from 1978 to 80, playing on city championship teams all 3 years. The Rebels were regional champs and state semifinalists in 1979 and area runners-up in 1980 when Hutchison was an all-city and all-region performer. After high school, he played baseball at Calhoun Community College in 1981 and 82 and was named to the all-conference team both years. Calhoun's co-captain and most valuable player in 1982, he batted .338 and led or tied the team in hits, doubles, runs scored, and stolen bases, including a record 5 in one game. After the 1982 season, he received a baseball scholarship to Auburn University, where he became the starting shortstop and led the team in fielding percentage during the 1983 season. Following his baseball career, he played slow-pitch softball on the Class A Regional National Circuit from 1987 to 2001. His teams won 4 national tournament championships. He made first-team All-American in 1987, 1993, and 1998. Hutchison says his father, Ray Hutchison, had the biggest influence on his athletic career. I waited on him every day to come home from work so we could work on either baseball or basketball together, he said. Those were some of the greatest times of my childhood. My dad never pushed me to play sports. He encouraged me, but allowed me to make the decision. The only requirement he ever placed on me in sports is that if you start something, you have to finish it. Hutchison was named middle school head baseball coach at Westminster Christian Academy in 2006 and was named Westminster's varsity head baseball coach in 2009. A senior financial analyst, Hutchison has worked as a support contractor to Marshall Space Flight Center for the past 12 years. He and his wife, Diane, a Huntsville native and Lee High School graduate, have a daughter, Darby, a junior at Westminster. Mark Hutchison.
Mark, please come to center stage and be inducted. Thank you, Mark. Our next inductee, David Keel. Please stand.
First as a player and later as a coach, Huntsville native David Keel developed into one of the most well-known local baseball personalities of his generation over a period that extended more than 3 decades. A left-handed hitter and right-handed thrower, Keel starred on 2 state championship teams before his 18th birthday. First in the Senior Babe Ruth League with the Northwest Huntsville All-Stars in 1989, and then in American Legion while playing for Post 237 in 1990 when he was named Most Valuable Player in the state tournament. During the same time, Keel was also the Most Valuable Player of the Lee High School baseball team. After being named to the All-City team 3 straight seasons from 1988 to 1990 and picked on the All-State team as a senior, he signed a baseball scholarship with the University of Mississippi. 2 years later, he transferred from Ole Miss to Motlow State College in Lynchburg, Tennessee, where he set a single-season record for runs batted in and was named to the Tennessee Junior College Athletic Association's All-Region team in 1992. Picked in the 23rd round of the 1992 amateur baseball draft by the Oakland Athletics, Keel played professional baseball for the Oakland organization for 4 years and 2 seasons in the New York Yankees organization. After playing for Modesto, California in 1995, he returned to Huntsville in the offseason to help Bobby Pierce start the University of Alabama Huntsville baseball program. Keel later served as UAH's head baseball coach in 2003 and 2004. Just 29 at the time, he was the youngest head coach in the Gulf South Conference. During the 9 years he was associated with UAH as a volunteer, an assistant coach, and later as head coach, the Chargers were ranked in the top 10 nationally each season. They won the conference championship in 2001. Keel cited competing against great opponents as a major factor in his baseball success. The greatest of these, he said, were the Ivy brothers, Paul and Tony from Johnson High School. Every time you played against them, you knew you were in for a fight. Of my teammates, Mike Grider from Lee taught me about real toughness. Pat Sanders was another great teammate. We played together at Lee and later in the Oakland organization, batting number 3 and number 4 in the lineup. All my coaches meant a lot, of course, and my parents. Mom was always there, and Dad, what can I say? Many times parents ask me what they can do for their kids to help them become better baseball players. I always say, keep your mouth shut and learn to throw in batting practice. Then do that before and after every practice, on weekends, and in the off-season until you're medically unable to throw. Keel is now a strength coach and martial arts instructor in Huntsville, working with elite athletes and members of law enforcement and the military. He's married to the former Holly Swanner of Huntsville. They have 2 daughters, Elizabeth 13 and Mary 9. David Keel.
David, please come to center stage and be inducted. Thank you, David. Our next inductee, Pat Llewellyn, please stand.
Pat Llewellyn fits the quintessential definition of the term student athlete. At Huntsville's Butler High School in the mid-'70s, he was a member of the National Honor Society, finishing with a 4-year grade point average of 96.4, while lettering for 3 years in basketball and golf and serving as team captain in both sports. A lanky forward, known primarily for his rebounding and defense, he averaged 18.8 points per game as a senior in 1976 and 77 and hauled in 255 rebounds. He was named First Team All-City and First Team All-Region and was cited for his accomplishments by All-American publications. Awarded a full basketball athletic scholarship by UNA, he became a valuable contributor and 3-year letterman on Coach Bill Jones' powerhouse teams of the late 70s. This was an era when the Lions won the 1978-79 NCAA Division II National Championship and finished 3rd in the nation the following season. A mathematics major, Llewellyn was the valedictorian of his graduating class, finishing with a GPA of 3.97 and receiving the coveted Keller Key, which goes to the student with the best academic average. A lone B was the lowest grade he ever made in college. I don't think he has ever forgiven that freshman English professor, says Llewellyn's wife, Melissa. Of all the individuals who influenced his life, Llewellyn places former Butler basketball coach Jerry Rice at the top. Coach Rice's discipline program was exactly what I needed to help me stay focused on the right things, given that I did not have a dad active in my life, said Llewellyn. In addition to his discipline, he taught me many things about the game of basketball that helped prepare me for the college level. Things like ball handling skills, defensive positioning, and proper shooting techniques. These skills became important when I played at UNA. Finally, Coach Rice was there as a Christian example and male role model for me during a time when I needed it most. I'm truly blessed to have had men like Coach Rice invest their time and influence in my life. David Hull, the senior pastor of Huntsville's First Baptist Church, nominated Llewellyn for the Huntsville-Madison County Athletic Hall of Fame. Hull says some great athletes peak out during their days in school and then are never heard from again. Pat continues to make contributions to our community that exceed his greatness as a basketball player. Llewellyn, a deacon at First Baptist, is also a Sunday school teacher, choir member, and is active in several mission projects of the church. In addition, he has served as a youth sports coach in both the church and the local school system. He was assistant coach at Stone Middle School for 5 years and has been the boys' varsity head coach at Covenant Christian Academy for the past 4 years. Llewellyn worked at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center after college. Since 2011, he has been employed at Dell as a systems engineer and senior sales consultant. He and Melissa have 3 children, Stephen, Kate, and Thomas. Pat Llewellyn.
Pat, please come to center stage and be inducted. Thank you, Pat. Thaddeus L. McDowell, please stand.
In 1989, when he was a sophomore linebacker for Coach Curly Hallman at the University of Southern Mississippi, Thad McDowell told a newspaper reporter that when he was a kid growing up in Huntsville, Alabama, his mother insisted that he play 2 sports in school. I was so hyper, McDowell said, that she wanted me to do something else besides football to keep me busy. If I didn't do something else, I'd get into trouble. So I played football and wrestled. Clearly, his mom, Patricia Ann Drake, knew best. An all-city wrestler at 112 pounds at Ed White Middle School in 1983, McDowell went on to become one of the best football players in the history of J.O. Johnson High School. He grew into a punishing 6'2", 220-pound linebacker and became a ringleader of a team that never lost a city game throughout the mid-1980s. Coach Paul Parvin's Jaguars reeled off 11 straight victories his senior year in 1986. That same year, McDowell was named All-City, 6A All-State, and Adidas All-American. Born at Fox Army Hospital on Redstone Arsenal in 1968, McDowell grew up in Huntsville's Love subdivision. His older brother, Tony Drake, introduced him to sandlot football in their grandmother's backyard. We'd play all day from sunup to sundown, McDowell recalled, and I was always the youngest kid. We played against various neighborhoods and projects. All the guys would leave with busted lips and bruised ribs. I loved it. We all had to play every position because you never knew when somebody would have to go out. He remembers getting destroyed one day by Steve Booker, who later played at Butler High and at Alabama. I told myself that someday I'd be even stronger and hit harder than that guy. McDowell's best sports memory at Johnson was traveling with his coaches and teammates to Cincinnati in 1985 and shocking national powerhouse Moeller High School. McDowell said, "We beat the odds and I had 11 tackles. It was a great game." McDowell signed with Southern Miss, where he was a 3-year starter and a 4-year letterman at linebacker. He finished with 306 career tackles, 5 sacks, and 4 interceptions. Among his favorite college memories was USM's upset victory over number 1 ranked Florida State in 1989 and the Golden Eagles' upset of both Alabama 27-24 and Auburn 13-12 in 1990. McDowell, who graduated from Southern Miss in 1992 with a degree in management, is now general manager of TM Finance Incorporated in Lawrenceville, Georgia. His family includes his 3 sons, Dante McDowell, and twins Jalen and Justice McDowell, his fiancée, Renetta Williams, and her daughter, Sadie, his brother, Tony, and his parents. Thad McDowell.
Thad, please come to center stage and be inducted.